Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
No. I am the Father.
And here we go.
That belongs in a museum!
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
This is Sparta!
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Dr. Grant. My dear Dr. Sattler. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Easily Entertained. It is Christmas time. Or, well, merry 2 days after Christmas. Because it happened on Sunday. So, we're a little late. But this is our Christmas episode because it's the closest one to it. So, you get to just deal. Did you get some good stuff for Christmas? I know I did. I got a Minky blanket, which is, if you don't know, I don't know if this is a thing outside of Utah. I would assume it is. It's called Minky Couture. It's a brand of blankets that are like extraordinarily soft and they're very nice. And I got one for Christmas because the rest of my family all has one. I did not. But I like nice cozy blankets. So that's what I'm sitting here with while I'm recording. It's just all snuggled up in a blanket. It's fantastic. So I got that. I got a couple movies, which is great. It gives me material that we can talk about on the podcast one of these days. I got Hacksaw Ridge, which is one from 2015, 2016, I think. It stars Andrew Garfield. It's like a war movie. It's one of my favorites. It's like probably one of my top 5, I would say. So we're definitely going to be talking about that one of these days. And then I got another one, which we'll totally talk about, called The Italian Job. I feel like it's one that's a little bit lesser known. It stars Mark Wahlberg in it and Edward Norton and a couple other people. Jason Statham. Trying to think of everybody who's in it. It's a good one, though. The Italian Job. If you haven't seen it, you should. We're going to talk about it one of these days on the podcast because now I have the DVD because I got it for Christmas, which is great. So I got those 2 things. And, I also got a kitchen knife set, which I thought was great because I really love cooking. And so I kind of wanted new knives because my old knives that I had gotten like just for free from like my grandparents, which like, love you guys. They're kind of warped now because I use them a lot. But like the case they're in, you kind of got to finagle them out. And so they're kind of a little like unsharpened. They need honing and the stuff that I'm really lazy to do. But I think they're kind of to the point where they would need to like do it like really well. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just get new knives. And so I got that. So yeah, knife set, Minky blanket, movies, and then like just treats, like you get for Christmas. That's like kind of the usual. I feel like everyone gets like snacks and candy and stuff like that. So it's pretty nice. But anyways, yeah, so today we're going to be doing our Christmas episode. Yes, we're a couple days late, but whatever. It's my podcast. I can do whatever I want. So today we're talking about a Christmas movie, technically 2. We're going to be talking about what I think is like the best Christmas movies, which is the Home Alone movies. Only the first 2, though, with Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister. Because 3 is all right. It's not like amazing, but it's watchable. 4, I don't think I've ever seen. And then the remake that's on Disney Plus, that's like what? Home Sweet Home Alone, something stupid like that. I remember watching that one. That one is awful. I don't like that. But the first 2, the original 2, are absolutely solid films. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the reason I think they are such good Christmas movies is because they're not like the generic Christmas movie, like Hallmark and stuff. I think the love stories are all right for Christmas. However, they all end up being basically the same thing. It's like, oh, you're in a small town. Someone, whether it's the guy or the girl, comes from the big city. They're all materialistic. And they meet someone that they used to know in like high school or whatever. And they're like, oh, you're here. And they're like, I thought you were kind of terrible in high school and a little bit nuts. And now they're like, oh my gosh, you're actually such a great person, especially around the holidays. I think I love you. And then they get together and it's all happy, Merry Christmas stuff. And I don't like that. I do think the happy ending is fine. I don't think the basic love story that we keep getting with so many Christmas movies, I don't like it because I think it's so generic and it's so easy to make a movie on that. And so there's like a million of them. But I don't want that. I want something interesting, which is where I think like Home Alone really thrives. Because we have like Home Alone, that one's original. Elf is original. I think Elf is pretty mid, which is, I feel like, a hot take. Because I know a lot of people love that movie. I'm not saying it's not watchable. I do have a good time watching it. It is not my top Christmas movie, though. I wouldn't usually pick that one. You have Jim Carrey's Grinch, which is fantastic. You have the classic Grinch, the new Grinch with Benedict Cumberbatch. Not very good. I love that actor. I don't really love his animated Grinch movie. It's pretty and then another one I really like is Klaus, which is a Netflix animated one. I think that one is so interesting. And now we have like one that has come out in theaters that I want to go see called Violent Night, which is like a hardcore action-packed Christmas with like David Harbour. And so I think that one looks interesting. But anyways, sorry, back to topic. Home Alone. The Home Alone movies I think are very unique, and they have a whole different kind of Christmas story. Because as the title states, a kid is left home alone from his family during the holidays. And during this, he, at least in the first one, he is actually home alone. He is home in like Chicago while his family went off to Paris. And so while they're gone, these two guys, Harry and Marv, are going to rob the neighborhood. And Kevin, because you've probably seen Home Alone. If you're listening to this, you've seen Home Alone. But so Kevin has to essentially defend the house from these guys because they're going to try and rob him. But then they figure out he's home alone and they're like, oh, we can just get past this kid. This is going to be fine. So he just decides to set up these elaborate traps to just destroy, like absolutely demolish these guys from getting into his house, which is so funny to me because it's like a second grade kid. And so like, what do you mean he's going to do this? Normal kids wouldn't do that, but that's like the whole like beauty of it because it's like corny and it's fun. And so like you get some hilarious scenes of him just pulling like pranks essentially on these guys. He like shoots one of them in the nuts. He lights their head on fire. He burns an M into their hand. He drops irons on them. I think just like the absurdity of it all is just what makes it so much funnier. And just like, it's a kid doing it. It's like no kid would ever actually think of this. They'd just be terrified out of their freaking minds. But it would be so funny to just have a kid be like, you know what? I'ma just demolish these two middle-aged looking dudes that are just trying to rob us. Yeah, I'm gonna just hurl stuff at them and beat them nearly to a pulp. It's so funny. I love it. And I think my personal favorite is the second one, because in the second one, he's not left home because they're all going on a trip to like Florida for the holidays. And he's so against it from the start. He's like, why would we want to do that? We want snow. We want Christmas trees, not palm trees. You know, why would we go to a warm climate for Christmas? And I can say this, having been to a warm climate for Christmas, and this was only like once for like, 2013-ish, I think. Me and my family went to like California for Disney and stuff. And when I was like 12, 13, and we did that for like a week. So that was in like a warmer climate. However, I don't know. It was still fun. it doesn't feel as Christmassy without snow, at least for someone who has grown up in an environment that has snow. I've always lived like a couple minutes from a mountain. Like basically where I live right now, at least while I'm up here visiting my family, we're like a mile drive from a mountain, and we're pretty high in elevation, and so we get snow and stuff like all the time. And so like that always kind of gives like a Christmas feel to it. But then after Christmas, I'm like, get rid of the snow. But anyways, understandably, he's like, I don't really want to go to a warm climate or like a place that doesn't even really have a Christmas tree. You can't really do that. So why do I really want to do that? But he's going. But while at the airport, they get mixed up, and he ends up going to New York instead of going to Florida. And so basically the whole movie is he's like, the movie's title is Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. And so he is kind of lost in New York. He's kind of just doing his own thing, but he has like his parents' bags with like their credit cards and money and stuff. So he's like, screw it. He just goes to a nice hotel, just gets all situated and just vibing, gets to do all that stuff. He goes to like a really fancy toy store, which is cool. He goes to a park and he sees this old lady who's feeding pigeons, which is kind of terrifying, but then he ends up being friends with her later. But then guess what? You know who comes to New York unintentionally? You know, like they didn't really come for Kevin, but by chance he's here. Harry and Marv, the villains of the first two, and they're back for revenge. They're a little sick that Kevin got them arrested last time. So now they're going to get him again. And so they find him just like walking down the street. And so they're like all crazy. And then Kevin finds out that Harry and Marv want to rob this really nice toy store because they're keeping all this money to donate to like the children's hospital. And so Kevin is like, hey, kids should have a good Christmas. You guys can't steal the money. And so basically he goes to like his I think his aunt and uncle's apartment or house, whatever, like somewhere in the city, and because they're renovating, so they're not there. And so like the house is just like a mess. And so he's like, you know what? We're making a dangerous trap just like we did the first time. And so he just rigs up everything. So he has a pit in the middle of something. They have to stack chairs and boxes and crap to actually get out of it. He puts a rope down. He douses a rope in kerosene and eventually lights it when they try to climb off the roof. And so like I find the concept just so funny because nobody in real life would ever have the resources to do this, especially like a second, third grader. They just would not be able to do it. And personally, I really love the Home Alone movies. And I feel like it is because of nostalgia almost, if that makes sense. Because one of my favorite things is during the Christmas season, you watch movies with family. And occasionally we'd watch like at our grandparents' house, or the last couple of years, I feel like the last 5 years, I think, my family has gone over to my grandparents, and we usually have dinner. We do like Christmas Eve presents. So it's usually like the grandparents' presents to us. And then we have like Christmas Eve presents, which are usually like pajamas and stuff. But then we also watch like Christmas movies. It's usually one. Sometimes we do two. But I feel like our favorite one, or one of our favorites, is specifically to watch the second one, primarily because of my grandma. And Grandma, I know you're listening to this. I know you listen to the podcast, so I'm about to talk about you. Our favorite thing is watching Home Alone 2 because she loses her mind. It's so funny because she just laughs so hard at everything. So it makes it like 10 times funnier because the movie is funny. It's hilarious of all these like ridiculous, elaborate plans to beat these two idiots up. It's like he takes like a tool chest, which is like, this is like my grandma's favorite part. She would quote this all the time. He takes like a tool chest full of tools, has it at the top of a bunch of stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs there's a door, and so he hooks like a rope up to the doorknob that's not secured and wraps it around the tool chest. So when they pull the door handle, the door doesn't open, but they pull the tool chest, and so it just falls down the stairs, and then it slams through the door and smashes up against them. And my grandma's favorite part, she always quotes this, is so they eventually push the tool chest off them and they crack their noses. And they're just like, that was the sound of a tool chest falling down the stairs. And she just laughs so hard, and it makes it so much funnier. But it's those kind of like pranks and stuff that are just like getting to her and makes her laugh. And so it just makes it like so much funnier, because, you know, laughter is contagious. You hear someone laughing, you're going to want to laugh too, and you kind of like join in, and then it becomes this feedback cycle. And she would laugh so hard until like she has cramps, which is terrible, you know, poor grandma, but we're all dying laughing because she's laughing so hard she hurts. And so it just like made it so much more fun, and it really kind of added to like the Christmas season. So it's like one of my favorite Christmas memories is I'm always thinking like, man, we should watch Home Alone 2 with grandma, because she's just gonna friggin' break. It's gonna be hilarious. You guys can probably hear my dog. Someone got her out. At least it sounds like it, or she's sleeping upstairs. Hopefully it's not too loud. I can hear it. I don't know how well you can hear it over the mic, but yeah, it's just like so much fun to watch the Home Alone movies when it's Christmas time. I think they're definitely my favorites. You know me, you guys have been listening to this podcast. I love so many movies, and so it's kind of hard for me not to find something I like, but like still, I think those are definitely my favorites, and without fail, I always watch those two. If I don't watch any other Christmas movies, I will watch those two. I watch those two. Sometimes, usually, the live action Grinch, because Jim Carrey's performance is top notch. Klaus is a new one that I really liked. It's been out for a couple of years, but I'm an animation fan. I think I've talked about this before, so you know I love when they do really good stuff. And so it's just kind of one. The Home Alone series is just one I really like, particularly the first two, because the rest, nah, you can't get better than the first two. And in fact, I think the second one is even better, which I feel like it's debatable for either of them. You could put either of them first, and you could justify it either way. I don't know. I love the Home Alone movies. I think it's really great for the Christmas season. It gives you a laugh, because sometimes, you know, it's the holidays, everyone's stressed, you get some family drama coming out, and so you kind of just need to chillax and laugh and have a good time, you know? So, yeah, that's me talking about Home Alone. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Christmas, and I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year, and we will see you next year. Bye. Thank you for listening to Easily Entertained with me, Bryson Olson. If you enjoyed, be sure to tune back in Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to hear all about entertainment. Easily Entertained is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube. Also check us out on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter under Easily Entertained for more updates on new episodes and extras on all things entertainment. Until next time, this is Easily Entertained.